Derouchie actually just got back from the Oceania International Championships, making their way through day 2, but also has a couple of top cut finishes under their belt from the earlier parts of the 2020 season when we were still in the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon format.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good run, and you've got to be feeling quite confident coming into that. Of course, his opponent in Hector as well, making top cut at some previous regionals as well. So no stranger to these big games. But the teams there are very different, I think. Obviously, both of them do carry the consistent Togekiss, but that is going to be the only similarity. So Togekiss showing how important it is to any type of team here.
Yeah, Togekiss is going to be so fundamental to play that supportive role on either team, but we have kind of Cedric going with a little bit more of like your standard sand team, and then you have Hector that has a softer Trick Room team that has at least a Trick Room mode with it, you have the Bronzong that can be your Trick Room setter, as well as the Rhyperior that can go in the back, but you also have a faster mode of that as well, which maybe Charizard can just come out and get some max airstreams going.
Yeah, we'll see exactly how he decides to play it. I think Cedric making it very clear that he's comfortable playing with extra Tyranitar put together in the battle box. Probably going to see the field at around the same time together during this set. So we'll see exactly how they go. Players have finished their selections, and we're going to start off the Collinsville Regionals with what should be a great match.
Yeah, Hector starting things off with Togekiss and Grimmsnarl, where we're going to see Cedric matching the Togekiss, but bringing out the Tyranitar that's going to set the sand.
Yeah, that sand damage could start to be pivotal a little bit later in the game. Both players, though, as we were just talking about, leaning on Togekiss, so important to figure out so many things about it. What item it's holding, exactly what set it's using for its moves. I mean, we've seen players making adaptations, making changes, and we'll see if they are bringing something near identical. Of course, the Grimmsnarl does have a couple options right now on how it wants to kind of try and start this early turn, see if it wants to try and slow something down, but does have to watch out for potential Dynamaxes as well. I think this is not the strongest position for something like the Grimmsnarl, but as we see in many games, right off the bat, we're going with the Dynamax.
Yeah, turn 1 Dynamax at least coming in from Hector. It's going to be that Togekiss that receives that Dynamax energy, and that's going to be a big Togekiss on the field. Now, we'll see whether or not Cedric decides to match that, because Tyranitar ends up being a really good target for that as well, but Grimmsnarl going for the fake tears. That's going to go right into the opposing Togekiss, so that special defense harshly dropping, but it looks like Cedric's Togekiss is going to move first.
Yeah, Cedric's Togekiss moves first, but the max airstream does follow right into that Togekiss after the drop. The drop from fake tears makes it pretty easy to knock out the critical hit, just kind of making sure that it gets all the damage it needs.
All of the damage, but I think importantly we are going to see the speed boost for both of Hector's Pokemon, so that Grimmsnarl as well as the Togekiss, but the Rock Slide barely missing the knockout onto the Grimmsnarl, so the sand damage, you said it was going to play an important role, it's going to be playing an important role here, knocking out that Grimmsnarl. Yeah,
I mean, getting that boost with the max airstream pretty important as well, and trading 1-for-1 on this turn I don't think is horrendous for either player. Of course, Hector's managed to get his Togekiss in a great position. It's Dynamax, it's taking damage pretty consistently, but he is going to have to try and look for a way around something on Cedric's team. I mean, Cedric, Milotic coming out could be quite good, could have some nice coverage to try and deal with this Togekiss, and Rhyperior on Hector's side looking to come in, and it won't be able to Dynamax, which a lot of people do with the Rhyperior, but it's still certainly going to be a problem.
It is going to be a problem, depending on what kind of moves that Rhyperior is going to be running. Usually you get a chance to see Rhyperior work within a Trick Room environment, so seeing Rhyperior hit the field now is a little puzzling from Hector, but I have a feeling that we might see a bit of a pivot coming out, because we haven't really seen the Trick Room just yet.
No, we haven't seen Trick Room, and there's no way to set it right now. I think this Rhyperior may be looking to capitalize on its solid rock ability, take a hit from something like this Milotic, and then just go back on the offense with a boost from something like its weakness policy, which they are well known to be carrying. That said, Cedric is going to Dynamax this turn. It is going to be the Tyranitar that he decides, so obviously needing a little bit more damage from his side to try and deal with something like that Togekiss.
And the Tyranitar is still sitting really healthy at full health points, so it is going to be able to take a full advantage of that Dynamax double HP, but look at how much damage this max airstream is continuing to do to Cedric's Pokemon. Another critical hit as well. You kind of wonder what this item is on this Togekiss.
Yeah, I mean, the Togekiss does have the access to Super Luck as its ability, so critical hits aren't out the realm of possibility, but they keep getting higher. The Rhyperior taking the Scald, and a burn is going to be a huge issue. kind of making this weakness policy not as effective as you needed.
Yeah, it was. I think that Hector was hoping that that wasn't going to be the case, but the Earthquake is going to be able to hit all the other Pokemon on the field. And even though that weakness policy got a boost and you see the burn onto the Rhyperior, the Melodic is going to get knocked out pretty easily here. Max Darkness, though, coming in from the Tyranitar is going to be able to fire back right onto the Rhyperior, and that's enough damage done with that Scald to knock out this Rhyperior too. Yeah, I mean, the combination attack gets rid of Rhyperior. The burn, I think, is a huge issue there because the Earthquake not doing as much damage as you might have liked. But, you know, we're down to 2-2. We've got the Dynamaxes in play from both sides, so the game is pretty clear where it needs to go. We see Cedric's last Pokemon in Hitmontop, which I like, and Bronzong, an interesting choice here. Bronzong was the Pokemon that I was expecting to see a little bit earlier on, especially if we were going to have more of a Trick Room heavy setting, but I bet Hector is just looking for information right now to really put their game plan into play for the next couple of games. Yeah, I mean, Bronzong usually carries a Steel type attack, so that could help out against the Tyranitar. Probably gonna have to watch out. This Hitmontop, well known for bringing Fake out early on. The Intimidate, actually not important in this one. Both special attack, usually attackers on the side of the field that aren't too worried about it. Bronzong's not known for its huge offense, and Hitmontop forced to fake out the Bronzong, as we mentioned at the top of the show. Dynamax, not worried about that at all. Togekiss, Max Starfall now right into the Hitmontop, and that's going to be an easy way to knock out another Pokemon. This Togekiss getting maximum value and another critical hit. Setting the terrain, but the terrain not nearly as important as maybe getting those max airstream boosts in that situation, but this Togekiss has been absolutely putting in some work. Tyranitar now going for the max Rockfall. It is going to land right into the Togekiss and finally be enough to knock it out, but the value has already been had. But Bronzong versus Tyranitar. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting matchup for sure, and I'd be interested to see exactly what he goes for the following turn. Obviously, nothing coming out this turn because of that flinch. This is Tyranitar's last turn in the Dynamax form, so you know, really wants to capitalize on that bigger damage that it can do in this instance. Hector's going to have to play around that. And, you know, interesting to see when he attacks with a Max Starfall, he goes for the Hitmontop, which I don't think was a bigger threat as the Tyranitar. No question about the wrap-up of this game. Cedric just Max Darknesses, and Bronzong's gone. Getting max value from both of the Dynamax Pokemon, it looks. But that is going to be Cedric taking the first game of the series, but it's not over yet. I think Hector got a lot of really good information from Cedric's team, and particularly about how Cedric really wants to play this particular set. So I think that play style knowledge is going to really help Hector to make some adjustments in this next game. Yeah, the Max Starfall towards the Hitmontop is probably the biggest question towards the end of the game. You say, hey, maybe you could have gone onto the Tyranitar. He knows that Tyranitar has access to something like Max Guard, and you think Hitmontop in that position really wasn't going to be causing too many problems. Yes, it can hit with some super effective hits, you know, particularly onto the Togekiss if it carries something like a Steel-type move, but at the same time, I think you need your Togekiss, you need your Dynamax Pokemon to deal with the other Dynamax Pokemon. And considering how much it had done with Max Airstream, you've got one more turn. I think Max Starfall heading the other way could have changed this one up a bit. I think Cedric bought the right four, leaving Rotom and Excadrill at home. But he played well. He knew about the weakness policy Rhyperior. Plays around it perfectly, double attacks into it. Getting the burn helps, and I think if the Tyranitar had been hit by a full power weakness policy boosted Earthquake, we had a different game. But at the end of the day, I mean, Cedric played it perfectly. He had Max Darkness available when he needed it. He picked up consistent knockouts with the Dynamax Tyranitar, and that was really his key to victory. Every attack he launched with that did manage to get a knockout. He, you know, knocked out Rhyperior, knocked out Togekiss, then knocked out Bronzong. Not a bad situation to be in at all. No, Hector ended up getting a lot of those consistent knockouts as well, though, with the Togekiss. But I wonder if there is a better way to utilize those four Pokemon. Like, I often don't. We didn't get a chance to see too much about what that Grimmsnarl is capable of doing, but I want to kind of see a little bit more of that. I like Grimmsnarl in this team, particularly if you're Dynamaxing your Togekiss. It's going to be using special attacks, and as we saw, turn one. You know, you fire off Fake Tears, and then you just immediately pick up a knockout with the follow-up Max Airstream. Not only are you getting a knockout, you're also getting your boost to speed, which is something I quite liked about Hector's kind of playstyle, actually. You know, he does have Trick Room available in the Bronzong, but if he needs to go fast, he can just sit and fire off some Max Airstreams and get a couple Pokemon in an advantageous position nice and early. Well, we're about to kick off this game, too. we'll see whether or not the leads are going to be any different. And in fact, they are. Hector is going to be bringing Dragapult and Togekiss, but no changes from Cedric. It's going to still be that Togekiss and the Tyranitar.
I quite like this choice, actually. I think Dragapult provides a lot more pressure than some of the other Pokemon he could have bought. Grimmsnarl, obviously, with that really nice fake Tears play, but it kind of wasn't much valuable. He was, you know, attacking into the Togekiss on Cedric's side, so overall, we'll see exactly how this one plays out, but I like Dragapult. It provides a little bit more oomph to try and deal some damage and pick up some early knockouts. You know, it's got an interesting set of coverage as well, so we'll see exactly how it goes. But once again, it's time for the Turn 1 Dynamax.
Hector going for the turn 1 Dynamax yet again, but this time it has a couple of different choices on what that target's going to be, but I like that this is the Dragapult that's getting the Dynamax. You mentioned how there's a lot of great coverage from the moves that Dragapult does end up getting, so I think this is just one step in the right direction here for Hector. And Dragapult already going for a Max Phantasm, this time trying to pick up the knockout into the Togekiss, but maybe that fake Tears being a little important in that.
Yeah, I mean, he's really not a fan of this Togekiss turn 1. Hector going after it in turn 1 of both games. Dragapult revealing the Life Orb item as well. He's going to get hit back with a lot of damage, though, from that Dazzling Gleam from something that's not even Dynamax. And there you go, trading some Dazzling Gleams.
Trading some Dazzling Gleams does get the knockout and a critical hit onto the Tyrant. Oh, on both Pokemon, actually. So maybe getting some super luck in there from that Togekiss. But Tyranitar, the slowest Pokemon in the field, gets to go for the Rock Slide, but this time not trading a knockout.
No, I mean, no knockouts in this turn. Obviously, the sand damage is going to bring it real close. But this Tyranitar's taking a lot of damage. So if he does decide to Dynamax it later, he's going to be in not such a good position. And this, I think, is actually where the Dragapult could become quite important. It's very low now, which is an issue, but if he does find a way to be able to weave in the Max Wormwind, this is the perfect pairing to throw it at. And even if you lose your Pokemon for it, this is the pairing you want to throw Max Wormwind at. They both rely on their physical attacks, so I wouldn't be shocked to see Hector find a play. He's got Togekiss, he's got a partner that can help him to really limit the output of this Tyranitar and Excadrill.
I would love to see a Max Wormwind come out here, but I know that there are a couple of other options that might be seen, but Cedric doesn't want to take a chance, maybe not wanting to take a Max Wormwind, but here's the Milotic. This
could be a really cool interaction. We'll see if he goes for it. I'll talk about it if we get there.
Okay.
But we are going to get Dynamax right away, so the sand is up, so there's no reason not to Dynamax your Excadrill, right? I mean, you've got the sand, you've got your Sand Rush ability online. Why not, right? That you need it to do as much as it possibly can in this instance.
Excadrill now getting a chance to use that Dynamax factor as well, and this time also just again Cedric kind of utilizing the Dynamax as a reaction to the Dynamax from Hector. The Max Steel Spike going into the Togekiss is going to boost up the defense for both Pokemon, and I think that's going to be particularly important for that Milotic.
Yeah, I like the fact that he respected the potential follow me play as well from the Togekiss, and just Max Steel Spiked that way anyway. Dragapult though immediately Max Flaring. That's going to take Excadrill low, I mean just below half, not super low, but he respects the potential play that he could have had to deal with. He does two things that are really great here. On Hector's side, he changes the terrain, Sand Rush no longer online, and he doesn't fall for it. If he Max Wormwinds and it hits that Milotic attack stat is going to drop, then he's going to get access to its competitive ability. So really smart turn there from Hector. He didn't get the knockout, but he kept himself in a really good position, and this turn is a nice position for him to be in, I think.
A lot of those Milotic are carrying that competitive ability, so I definitely respect the plays that both of these players made. Potentially from Cedric, hoping that that Max Wormwind was going to come out so that the Milotic could get the competitive boost, but Hector respecting that and saying, you know what, I'm not going to actually give you the opportunity to utilize that play. So Milotic is going to go back and the sand going to come back out. So this was actually a great pivot on a rotation from Cedric, where the Tyranitar is still kept alive to be able to bring the sand stream back up for this Excadrill to go first.
I mean, the Excadrill is going to be able to do all sorts now with the Max Steel Spike. The Dragapult taken out here, and I mean, Hector playing the turns pretty much perfectly, I think. He does have one more Pokemon, but I mean, Cedric's pairing right now doesn't have a convenient option to turn off the Sand Rush ability. It doesn't have a way to change the weather, so it's looking pretty grim for Hector in this instance. Bronzong does get to set up a Trick Room though, which could be important, particularly if Rhyperior is the last Pokemon in the back. Rhyperior would relish playing in this Trick Room.
It really would.
You know, Cedric spent so much time building up this pairing and saying, hey, I'm going to activate Sand Rush, I'm going to make sure I'm in a really good position. And now, you know, Rhyperior in Trick Room, if he has a way to access his own weakness policy, might be able to pull it out. I mean, Excadrill's at just above half health. That's in knockout range. Tyranitar at half health, definitely in knockout range. So if this Bronzong has something special up its sleeve to activate its weakness policy that we saw in Game 1, Hector could clinch this out with this absolute power pairing in the back.
Tyranitar going for the Protect, just in case this Rhyperior goes for something like a spread damage, but there it is. Daz, you called it. There's the Bulldoze. It's actually going to go into all 3 Pokemon on the field, except for the Tyranitar. They ended up getting a chance to Protect, but the Rhyperior is going to activate its weakness policy.
Rhyperior is now a huge issue on the field. It's just going to be able to Earthquake. And Earthquake's great against both of these Pokemon. I mean, the damage it's going to do to those. Obviously, the Milotic in the back could kind of work it out. Bronzong revealing Levitate, not taking any damage there itself. And Excadrill, you know, not really what you wanted in the Trick Room, being felled there. A lot of pressure on this Milotic right now to be dealing the damage that it needs to deal.
We saw it deal a significant amount of damage with the Scald, though, and the secondary effect of Scald is that it might get a chance to burn, which could really affect the amount of damage output that comes out from the Rhyperior. But there's a Milotic, and this is where things get really interesting.
Well, Milotic right now, or Milotic's kind of up against it. It's not only dealing with the Solid Rock ability on Rhyperior, it's also got to deal with the boost from the Sandstorm that's kicking on and helping that Rhyperior out with its special defense, which is exactly what you want in the face of the Milotic. Tyranitar is so scared this turn, though.
So scared, but the Iron Head from the Bronzong is just going to go into the Milotic, doing as much damage as possible. What is this?
It's revealing its berry. It's going to be the Key Berry, raising its defense. That is a huge help right now for this Milotic.
It is a huge help. This Earthquake going to be going into both Pokemon. Tyranitar failed the double Protect, so it's going to get knocked out, and Milotic taking a decent chunk of damage, but not as much as it could have. Milotic going for the Scald, goes into the Rhyperior, brings it pretty low, but is there a burn?
There
There's
it is.
The burn!
Oh, this Rhyperior's job just got so much harder. That said, I mean, the Rhyperior is still going to be given another chance to attack with another Earthquake. Obviously, the defense boost definitely helps. And as much as I hate to say it, and I hate to put it on the field, Bronzong's moving first and it has access to Iron Head. We do know what that can do with flinches. Obviously, there's a little bit more Sandstorm to come, so we'll see if Hector can clinch this one out. The Iron Head not doing much at all. Rhyperior, though, doesn't even mess around. Just tries to Rock Wrecker. Oh, my word. That is... All right, that's a lot to unpack. That's a lot.
That series of events was just absolutely outrageous.
Well, there's one more turn of Trick Room, so this is Rhyperior's time to do it. Where do we start? Okay. Iron Head getting the flinch is important because it means Milotic can't pick up the knockout on Rhyperior.
Milotic going for Protect.
It has to do that. There's no other way around it.
Has to stall out that final turn of Trick Room.
But here's the thing. Can Milotic stop Bronzong resetting up Trick Room? And can Rhyperior hold on through the burns?
Sandstorm is going to subside, so no more special defense boost. It does get a chance to hang on through the burn.
So here's the issue. Here's what I'm seeing. Yes, we can reset Trick Room up with Bronzong. That'd be great. But if he protects Rhyperior now, the burn will get it. Like, the burn will bring it low. Then he'll reset Trick Room because Milotic has no way to stop it. But then Milotic,
gets a chance to go for recover here. It's going to bring back so much of its health.
Oh, Milotic, you have just bought yourself so much time. And Speed Swap! Oh, that is naughty. Not even Trick Rooming, just Speed Swapping. That said, though, Rhyperior's health getting dangerously low from this Skull Burn.
Dangerously low, able to hold on. It might get one attack off, maybe a second, but we saw how much damage that Earthquake did when it was just going for its regular attack.
He doesn't need Earthquake, he needs Rock Wrecker right now. Unfortunately, the Protect's going to stop him from doing that. We'll see if, I'm not sure if Rhyperior is going to get another attempt. We'll see, the burn, bringing it, oh,
3 HP.
So
oh
close. I didn't have time to crunch the numbers, but hey, this is your turn, Rhyperior. You have to land the Rock Wrecker right now. That's your only option. You have to make sure Milotic doesn't land double Protect, and you must land the Rock Wrecker.
Milotic goes for a second Protect, though!
The absolute audacity of it to get that, and of course the Rhyperior is going to fall. Bronzong Milotic is not a great matchup for Hector here.
Goodness, the burn is going to do the final bit of damage to Rhyperior. Rhyperior is going to faint in this instant, get knocked out. It is just Milotic and Bronzong left on the field. This is going to come down to just...
Well, let's see. Hold on.
We'll find out. Ironhead.
I think he's
Milotic flinched?
I think he's going to need... Let me do the math. I think he needs 12 flinches in a row with Ironhead.
Well, there's 2!
Well, there's 2. Let's go. I mean, it's a stretch, but he could get there.
Ironhead again? Can we get to the 3rd? No, Milotic gonna go for the skull.
Hey, here's the thing. Bronzong can take that.
Yes.
So Bronzong can keep on kicking. Based on my math, I think he now needs another 10, potentially 11 Ironhead flinches. Or just Ironhead hits. And there we go. He's just going to concede.
What a good effort coming in from Hector.